Well, good morning, everyone. My goodness. We have talked off and on about Lindsay Clancy and her family for several years. I laid off the last few weeks because, well, for one, I don't have the time or the recording hours to cover the trial. I leave that to the big boys like Court TV, Law and Crime, because trust me, I've covered lots of trials and it is expensive. That's okay. That is not your problem. It's hard to talk about a case when a trial is going on. So the fact that we have 38 people in here warms my heart. And Shonda, girl, where you been? Look at that. Hello, CLL fam bam. Morning, Brooksy baby. I have missed you. I'm sure you're up to no good. True Crime Beats in here. Jules is in here. Now let me check the poll. We have a poll up. If you were on the jury, how would you vote? We're torn. The internet is torn. The comments in People Magazine are torn. They are shutting comments off in major newspapers. 43% of you are saying she is guilty of murder. 43% are saying not guilty by reason of insanity. She just needs to be institutionalized. And 12% of you say she is just not guilty. Now, you do understand not guilty means that she just flat out didn't do it. That would mean someone else did it. Hence why I need to hear all of your opinions today. I'm going to put the playlist in here. Oop, actually, no, that is the StreamYard link. My goodness, I did that. If someone could put our Lindsay Clancy playlist in, go ahead. And in the meantime, let's please welcome everybody. All right, I'm going to go back almost 3 years, actually longer than, almost 3 years, to where they arraigned Lindsay Clancy. Okay, as we know, she jumped out the window. As we know, she's accused of strangling her 3 children. We got that. We know now that the day before she went to pick up her daughter Cora from school and was told by the teacher that Cora had a tummy ache. Cora couldn't go poo-poo. Okay. Lindsay took her to the doctor the next day that confirmed she's not going poo-poo. Later in the afternoon into the evening, she asked Patrick to go pick up some takeout and pick up a laxative for their daughter. I still want to know how bad that little girl felt from when she was picked up from school. Well, we know she never got the laxative. Because if anyone's ever been constipated, I think we all know that hurts. Well, I know who's not constipated today, and that is Dough Girl. Everyone, happy birthday to Dough Girl. How young are you? I never say old anymore. How young are you? All right, so this is where she was in the hospital after she jumped out the window, after she strangled her children. Okay? And this is where they announced her charges.
Duxbury mother accused of killing her children wiped tears from her eyes as prosecutors spelled out their case against her. She listened in a hospital bed as they described the steps she allegedly took before strangling the children.
Now, the prosecution argues that she was lucid at the time, while her lawyer insists that she was not in her right mind. WBZ's Christina Hager's live for us in Duxbury tonight with the breaking details in the case. Christina?
David, this was...
No one on either side of the aisle argues that she is the person that strangled the children. Now, through this trial, we have heard a lot of things. We've heard a lot of things about doctors, prescribers, lack of help, or at some points too much help, because she had many medical providers. Okay? Her husband chose to work from home as opposed to her being there by herself throughout the day. Her in-laws were checking in on her. Her parents were checking in on her. They had a nanny that was there. However, there's still a ton of questions, but neither the state or the defense argue that, yeah, she is the one that strangled the children.
So difficult that Lindsay Clancy's attorney says she hasn't been able to even process emotion. She's on 24/7 suicide watch. He says he doesn't even know if she would be able to stay alive long enough to make it to a trial. Lindsay Clancy in her hospital bed on a Zoom link connecting her to Plymouth Court.
Is Ms. Clancy in a position that the two of you can hear me?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
The 32-year-old Duxbury mom's attorney says she's paralyzed from the waist down after she jumped out a window at her family home. 2 weeks later, there are still flowers, stuffed animals, and signs of the community's heartache.
On Friday, January 27th, 2020.
True story, because I watched another channel about this, and it was actually from a firefighter that was talking about people jumping out of windows. I should have saved it to get away from fire. Okay, obviously, that if someone jumps out of that window, they'd be dead. They'd be dead. Okay. This window is not a jumping out window, but she did turn herself around. She did hang on, and she did drop to the ground. That's exactly what they're saying. And the defense is not arguing that. If she truly had jumped out, she would have been deader than a hammer. She would have hit right on her head. She would have had all kinds of problems. However, from that height, she's not Spider-Man. You land that way, of course you're going to have cervical injuries. Of course you're going to have thoracic injuries. You're going to have all kinds of problems. Of course you are. We're not made out of rubber.
23, using an erasable whiteboard because she was still temporarily intubated. One of the first questions that Lindsay Clancy asked was, "Do I need an attorney?"
Clancy now facing murder charges in connection with the heartbreaking episode in which she allegedly strangled her 3 children, an infant, a toddler, and a 5-year-old. The prosecutor explaining how she seemed clear of mind that day, texting her husband who was out running errands.
When he arrives home, the first thing he noticed was the silence. Patrick can be heard on the 911 call entering the home and heading to the basement. At one point, he calls out, "Guys." He can then be heard screaming in agony and shock as he found his children.
Her attorney, Kevin Reddington, argued she was overly medicated, treatment for mental health anxiety that had her at McLean Hospital for 5 days just a couple weeks earlier.
Now, our society fails miserably in treating women with postpartum depression or even postpartum psychosis. It's Medicaid, Medicaid, Medicaid.
Prosecutors say she gave her husband this explanation over the phone yesterday.
And she said she heard a man's voice telling her to kill the kids and kill herself because it was her last chance.
The judge ruled for now Clancy can stay at the hospital where she's being treated until doctors medically discharge her to another facility. At that point, they would revisit the courts here, and there would be a decision on whether or not she needs more security. Live at the Plymouth Courthouse, Christina Hager, WBZ News.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. So is it postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, or did she pre-plan everything? Was she ever warned by her OBGYN to not have any more children, like Andrea Yates? And the woman, I can't remember her name, from Ireland, she was told not to have any more children. Have none. Don't even think about having another one. Just don't. But she did ask, do I need an attorney? Do I need an attorney? Well, she's got one. Oh, she's got one. She's got one of the best in the country. Kevin Reddington. I spoke about this years ago. I said, listen, she doesn't have some shopping mall lawyer. She don't have no guy that works in the back of his van. She doesn't have no night court judge. She's got K-Shred. This man's defense tactics are crazy. Hold on. Two Boston moms, I was worried about this. She's leaving from Japan, and they have an electrical problem on the plane, supposed to fly into San Francisco and then back home. And now they're going to the hotel, and they fly out tomorrow. Okay. Woo. I was worried you're going to get on that damn plane. That's the reason I told you to change airlines. Let's all please give a round of applause to two Boston moms. All right, so K-Shred is what they call him. He is considered a super lawyer in the Northeast. He is licensed to practice in many states in the Northeast. Matter of fact, if you needed him in Bumblefolk, Oklahoma, and there was a good enough case and there was good enough money, he'd take the freaking bar and he would represent you. That's how good he is, all right? And he has given them a run for their money. He is not just an attorney, he is a trial expert. And he is doing something that I've never seen before. Okay, I'm not going to call him if you want to. The Art of Law Mastered, a collection of some of Kevin Reddington's best moments in court. Press interviews and more. Well, he's got plenty. Okay? He's got plenty. I'm not taking anything away from him because he knows how to get emotions out of people. He knows how to, in a non-threatening way, threaten detectives when they didn't do their due diligence. And the way he has been schooling all of these different doctors is something else. Now, what I will say about the state, you know, they've got 2 tubs of lard that are up there representing the state of Massachusetts. True story. And one keeps wearing a bow in her hair to represent Cora. Now, if you remember a few other cases we have covered, most recently Athena Strand, the DA wanted to wear a little ribbon to represent Athena. The judge said, no, that will influence the jury. No. You can't have on any swag at all. You're here for evidence. That's what the state does. But old girl's walking through every day with some kind of bow in her hair. And I don't know if she's trying to further upset Lindsay's family, or if she is really trying to make a point to the jury. I don't know what she's doing. I'm just going to go ahead and say that the bows are not a good look. All right? They're just not. All right, so let's get to it. Now, we all know who the mine hunter is. We've seen her on Chris McDonough's show. We have seen her on Court TV. We have seen her in a lot of different places. She is saying that Lindsay is not safe on the outside.
Because the question is she safe with other children? And I don't think that, I would say no. Once she's crossed the line to kill somebody, so I don't think she is safe. So she has to be put into a protective environment, like a psychiatric facility in a jail or in a prison.
You feel that even if she was experiencing psychosis, and even if she's kind of cured now or on medication, it's not safe for her to be out in the world?
Oh, I feel that. I don't feel she's safe to be out in the world. I don't care what they've done to try to rehabilitate her. No, I feel the same for serial killers. And in a way, she's killed 3. She's a mass murderer if you want to look at number of victims.
She's a mass murderer. If you really want to look at it, she's a mass murderer. Okay, let's look at the medications she was taking. And this was all within a small period of time. This went from September to January. Zoloft. Some people would say that's a very light medication. Okay. Then she was put on Ativan, which they have testified she became addicted to. And then her Ativan was increased, and she was also given buspirone. I'm going to need a nurse to grab the link to come up and help me with this medication. Then we get to all of the different providers, okay? Then we're on trazodone. Then we're on Prozac. Then we're on Ambien. Then Remeron. Then Klonopin, which was not out of her system when she started taking Seroquel. Then to make it better, she's taken Valium. Then I have no idea what this medication is. Hell does that mean? Give me a second. I am not a freaking pharmacist. I should call my cousin. Trazodone. All right. Prozac, Ambien, Klonopin, Seroquel, Valium. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that medication is. Then she went inpatient. Okay? She went inpatient. And if she is a dangerous person, she needs to be put behind bars. Okay? If she's not, and you guys are going to disagree with me, if she's not and she gets institutionalized, every care provider needs to lose their license. It can't be all for one, none for all. Okay? This mental illness shit is way out of hand. All of this went on in 4 months. Pills don't make you fucking normal, my friends. They don't. That's a lot of meds. And here's the whole thing. You can't call yourself a practicing physician when someone you were practicing on killed their kids and threw themselves out of a 2-story window. And the day that someone gets institutionalized for their mental health and the doctor keeps their license, I will have a little bit of faith in our healthcare system. I'm going to put the link up because I want to hear what you have to say. Jules say we can accept all opinions here as long as you can keep it classy. I'm trying, Jules. I'm trying. Dang it. Does Running Buck not know that we're live right now? He keeps asking where I'm at. All right, yesterday was a rough day. Big time, because the medical examiner was explaining how the children were strangled. A lot of people are talking about Patrick. They think Patrick killed the children and pushed her out a window because her core temperature was 82 degrees. I'm not a doctor. I can only assume from the blood loss. He's on camera everywhere, and the children, Cora and Dawson, their time of death aligns with him being away, either at the restaurant or on the way to CVS. You see, Lindsay doesn't have a time of death because she's alive. Callan's time of death was a couple of days later. True story. So to prove his alibi, and if this happened before or after, you have to coincide where he was with Cora and Dawson's time of death.
Seeing here in terms of injuries. In this photo, we're looking at the front of the neck, again, focused on the ligature furrow, which is this distinct linear area of pallor. And on the front of her neck, the lower half of this ligature furrow had scattered red abrasions associated with it. You can take down the photo. What are abrasions in terms of what you...
Okay, obviously we're talking about little children. So if anybody wants to back out of this chat, I totally understand. I'm going to put the link up again to see if anybody wants to grab it, to come up and just tell me what you think. You know what I think? I think I would hate to be one of those jurors. I would hate to be one of those jurors. I would hate it. I would hate to look at those pictures. I would hate to see that woman sitting in a damn wheelchair. I would hate to see her fucking smug husband on the stand. I would hate to see the DA prancing around in a fucking bow in front of me. I would hate it all. I would hate to be sequestered. I would hate all of it. I would hate that the doctors are fighting with the attorneys. I would hate every bit of it. But now where do you put your hate? You can't put it on the kids. Patrick's not on trial. So where do you put your hate if you're a juror? You going to get pissed off at the DA? Or you can get pissed off at Lindsay? Something to 12 jurors, actually 18 because they have 6 alternates. Something's going to have to register in their mind. Something's going to have to. And they are going to have to make a decision. And it won't be easy. You send her to jail. You wheel her ass in there and you just leave her up to the jail system, the correctional system, or you institutionalize her. There's no not guilty because there's no doubting she did it.
So abrasion occurs when there is sufficient friction against the skin to cause a removal of the superficial layer of the skin.
Is it basically a scrape?
Yes.
And then can we have photo 2256, please? You can tell us what we're looking at here, please.
This is a close-up photo of the back of the neck. Here is the linear area of pallor with the distinct superior and inferior linear edges. You can appreciate that the linear edges in this photo started to develop linear bruising.
And were there other injuries on the body other than those on the neck and the face?
Yes, she had injuries to her right arm and on her legs.
And if I could show you photograph 7789. Are you able to tell us what we're looking at here?
This is an up-close photo where we can see a very small, faint bruise. All of the bruises on her legs as well as her right arm consisted of small scattered bruises.
And if we could have photo 7770. What are we seeing here?
This is an image focused on her right leg. Here we see 3 bruises on her knee and 2 bruises on her left lower leg. This is a site of medical intervention.
I agree, Jules. Okay. It's hard to find an open-minded people for juries, I'm sure. I don't know how they find them when it comes to a criminal trial. Because let's face it, we're inundated with information. May not be so much about Lindsay Clancy, but it could be about another case we heard about where a woman killed her children. And someone's mind could be on someone like a Darlene Routier or someone like a Casey Anthony. Their mind could be there. Because some jurors are not that freaking smart. They're just not that smart. And Massachusetts is a mistrial state. They have a lot of hung juries. They do. The judge is just there to call balls and strikes. And for whatever reason, they do have a lot of hung jurors. And I don't mean hung the way Laura Uli likes her handyman. I mean, they can't make their mind up. Like the 12 of them cannot decide.
The intraosseous catheter site where the needle enters the bone.
And if we could see 7790, please. What are we seeing here?
This is a close-up photo of her left leg. Again, we can see a bruise here as well as a bruise here on her left lower leg.
And then the last photo, 2233. I'm sorry, one more after that. What are we seeing here in this photograph?
In this photo, we can see the bruises I described earlier, as well as the inside of her left ankle. We're seeing 2 additional bruises.
And if we could see photograph 7794. What is shown in this?
Oh, dear goodness. Danny Dane said, I've been called to jury duty 7 times, never have been picked for the jury. I could do a separate show on this because I know why they won't pick your ass. I have known you for almost 6 years. You have already got your mind made up. You know who you are. You have your opinion. But you know what? They would be lucky to have you. Woo! Anybody want to grab the link? I'm waiting on Gaelic and Jules, who said they were going to come up, because I really want everyone's opinion.
This is an image of her left leg, again showing the 2 bruises close to her left ankle and then additional bruises on her left lower leg.
And then 7775, please. What are we seeing in this photo?
This is an image of her right arm extended, and I have the image focused on her right bicep where there was.
True Crime Beat, you'd be fine, because I mean, you're going to listen and you're going to be open-minded. Danny Dane would be wanting to ask like what law school the judge went to. She would be talking about like white trash in her area. Yeah, she would. And it should be a reality show. I say let's vote for Danny Dane to be on the next jury in her area. Let's see who is backstage. Oh, Jenny. She has a notice for jury duty. God be with them. Okay, who is knocking at the door? All right, Jules, you're in the hot seat. What do you think? If you were on the jury as of today, because we have not heard the defense, the ball was in the state's court, what would you vote and why?
I say she needs to stay in a mental hospital the rest of her life.
That's what I'm saying. And I actually was saying that once they brought everything out. I did not realize that if she goes to the mental hospital that she would be able to be released, though, in 6 months.
What?
Yeah, that's a law in Massachusetts. They can only keep them for 6 months unless the providers say they need more help.
What if it's court ordered?
I don't know about that. I just know what I'm reading in the Boston Herald.
Yeah. Huh. I just think I personally knew someone who was on all of these medications plus lithium. And I watched her go from being a person who gave to society to somebody who was a zombie, a complete and total zombie. And when she raged, she raged. Mm-hmm. And when she didn't, she didn't. She was a zombie. And she finally, friends and family got through to her about how she was acting, and we recorded her. And she watched it and saw it. And she just weaned herself off all the medication. And she's fine now. She's a big person in the school district around here. And, you know, she holds a big title. And she's fine now.
Good for her.
But I saw her go through some real hard times. And I often wondered about and worried about her kids. She had 4 children.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is opinion only. We're not here to argue. You've heard me on other shows, you know, talking about, let's say, Adam Montgomery and like, you know, Dawn Wells and, you know, some other people where they were seeing the street corner pharmacist. And I would say the drugs didn't make them kill their children. They did it on their own. What would be the difference between buying drugs and killing a person and being prescribed them?
Because you have a doctor whom you trust, supposed to be able to trust. And if they're telling you you need these things, saying you need these things, then you automatically trust what he says and take the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand why she was why was she on Ativan and Buspirone and Valium? Those are all three are like for the same thing.
Klonopin and
Klonopin too.
And you can't tell me that they don't interact.
Right.
And you can't tell me it's so easy to get them out of your system because we're looking at the dates.
I mean, like, okay, example, my husband was put on Zoloft a few months ago. He had a complete, total reaction to it. I don't know what it was, but he did not act the same. So we immediately stopped taking it.
There you go. But you can agree Zoloft is not addictive. It just didn't agree with his chemical makeup.
Right. Exactly.
And I mean, these are some of the medications she's
I'm sorry. It all has to do with your chemical makeup. I mean, that's what it comes down to, is how it affects you.
For real. Hold on. Running back, now listen, you've been around for a long time, and I know there's some days that you want extra special attention, and I think the moderators in here are being super nice to you. No, the clocks don't go back for several months. So do you want to add to this conversation, or do you just want to keep trying to get attention? I've dealt with you before, and it seemed like everything came out in your favor. But this is a totally different situation. I appreciate you being respectful. V. Oakley is going to watch you today, and you're in big ass trouble now. Okay, so I am not a nurse at all.
Me neither.
Nope. But I'm looking at this long ass list of medication. Long ass list. Let me see who is in the background and who wants to come up and give an opinion. Because at this point, I think she needs to be put institutionalized. Because I can't imagine all these providers prescribing all these things if there wasn't something wrong with her. Hey, Denny, what's up?
Good morning, Jules. Good morning, Brooks. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Good morning.
So how did you answer the poll? Do you think she needs to go to the jail or go to the institution?
I don't think 6 months in an institution is enough, to be quite honest. If that's what she would get, if being institutionalized, I would agree with that, but I believe she needs to be institutionalized for possibly life.
If they can. I mean, because what I read in the Boston Herald is that if they get her spick and span in a few months, then her private insurance would pay or Medicaid, and then the state wouldn't be in charge of her care anymore. And so they could easily release her to her healthcare proxy in 6 months. And remember, this is an op-ed. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And every state is different. I think if they put her in there and she's institutionalized, she'll be there for a very long time.
Yeah, I believe so.
I also, I'm asking everyone on panel, because you guys are in the hot seat, I think it's safe to say that she's not going to have 3 more babies and kill them. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And on the other hand, I think we can all agree that despite depression or whatever's going on, in some way or another, she has got to pay for what happened.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, those babies do need justice of some kind.
Absolutely.
you know, I'm baffled by what health provider prescribed that cocktail of drugs. I mean, one almost wouldn't have had time to leave her system before she would be on another one.
Well, here's the whole thing. Like, in New York, they have something called iStop. So if you're on something that's a controlled substance, when a doctor prescribes it or a pharmacist goes to fill it, they will see if you're on anything else or if you're doctor shopping. Okay. But she had so many that were not controlled. And she was given short doses to try different things out. Like in Oklahoma, let's say I went to the doctor today and they said, oh yeah, we're going to give you 30 days of Ativan. And I go to another doctor and say, I think I might need Ativan. They're going to see I've already been prescribed it.
Yeah. I mean, it's what they call a stat dose, just to see how you get on with it.
Okay.
But they're not going to prescribe other similar type medications on top of that. Or at least they shouldn't.
However, she went to all of these different providers. All right, let's see how she reacted yesterday in court. I really don't know why they had this testimony, because it was put out in week 1 and they did it again. And her attorney already said, we don't need this testimony. We already agree that's what happened. He's actually helping out the state by saying, if you keep showing them these things and she reacts, it's only going to make the jury upset.
3 small bruises.
And in terms of bruising, are you able to tell the age of a bruise by looking at it?
No.
Can you tell whether it's a fresh or an old bruise?
So generally speaking, we can appreciate the color of bruises. So red, blue, purple bruises tend to be bruises that occur more recently. And as they heal over time, they start to take on a yellow or green appearance.
And the bruises that you observed on Cora's body, how did they appear?
They all had versions of red appearance to their shapes.
So because they had red appearance, does that mean that they are fresh wounds?
They occurred recently.
And again, you can't tell how they occurred or what the exact time and date they occurred.
Correct.
Is there any information you can glean from the location of the wounds where some of the bruises were close together, like the 3 on the knee or the 2 on the lower right leg?
No, I can only document where they are and their measurements.
Now, can I have a moment?
Sure.
Going back to the injuries on her neck, what do those tell you based on your training and experience, when you're trying to determine the cause of death? What do those wounds tell you?
When I see a ligature furrow that is horizontally oriented in association with significant petechial hemorrhages, those findings are consistent with a ligature strangulation.
And what is ligature strangulation?
Again, a ligature is an object used to apply external force to the neck, and a strangulation is when it is done by someone else.
And when that happens, what effect does it have on the body? How does it? What is the mechanism of death?
So ligature strangulation results in a category of asphyxial type of deaths. Asphyxia means that the body is deprived of oxygen, and in this case, specifically the brain. So when you have compression on the outside of the neck, blood is how oxygen is delivered throughout our body. So the right side of the heart delivers blood to our lungs, where during breathing and respiration, we then put oxygen into our blood. It then moves to the right side of our heart and gets pushed out to our body through blood vessels we call arteries. Once the oxygen is released at its targeted site, it then recirculates to the right side of the heart through blood vessels called veins, and the process starts all over again. It's a continuous circulation. But when you have compression of the neck, first and foremost, your airways reduce, it's compressed. So you can have a reduction in your ability to breathe or complete inhibition in your ability to breathe.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I only took like 8th grade biology and I know this part. So is anyone going to be upset if she is found guilty of murder? Put a 1 in chat if you're going to be really upset if they find her guilty of murder. Put a 2 in chat if you're going to be really upset if she is found not guilty by reason of insanity. Jules, you weren't kicked out. There's the link, girlfriend. My husband said he's hiding. Oh, he's hiding because he knows he's got a lot of shit to do this weekend. At this point, because we haven't gotten to the defense's side. Okay, Aggie said she's going to be really upset if she is found guilty of murder. My husband said he's going to be really upset if she's found guilty by reason of insanity. The Oakley's hiding from us too. My goodness. I just don't know right now.
When you have compressions of the veins of the neck, the blood cannot drain from the head. And so then the blood actually has a backwards flow of pressure that meets the arterial blood. And that results in an increase of blood pressure within the blood vessels, as well as an overall increase in intracranial pressure. And with the compression of the artery, there's no oxygenated blood being delivered to the brain.
And as this blood is gathering in the face and head area, is that kind of causing the same type of pressure as a balloon filling up?
Yes, or like a water pipe as well.
Okay. And what happens as that blood pools and causes that pressure in the face and the head?
What normally happens?
This is a little topic, but has anyone noticed in the comments, in the news articles, and the Facebook groups, women that are actually cheering her on?
Yeah. I have actually. Many feel she was failed. With her psychiatric care.
Right? Right? And I mean, let's say every doctor failed her. She still had a husband that was working from home, parents that became her healthcare proxy after a doctor suggested it, once her husband rejected her being bipolar, and her in-laws that were very involved, and then they had a nanny.
Yeah.
But time alone is when the 3 children were strangled and she jumped out the window. And she didn't jump out the window. We know that. If she jumped out the window, she'd be dead. Okay, she'd be dead as a...
I mean, apparently forensics say she held on to the window ledge. She didn't do as if someone was wanting to unalive themselves and completely throw herself out the window. The forensics examination showed that she had actually held on to the window ledge and then fell. So
now let's talk about this. And the show is not about Patrick.
No.
The show's not about Patrick. Should he be able to get on with his life? Obviously, he met a woman that looks exactly like Lindsay. I'm talking like her doppelganger. He's got it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he should be able to get on with his life. I'm sure as much as it's possible after going through what he did go through. There's no way he's come out of that unscathed. They were his babies.
Mm-hmm.
It must be an awful... I can't even imagine going from day to day.
I watched him on the stand, and he just seriously looked pissed off. Now, I'm going to ask the men in here, how pissed off would you be if you went to get takeout and laxative and you came home to find your children dead? Would you not be really upset to the point where you're like, I can't be with this person anymore? Actually, I'll ask the women. Say your husband had a mental health issue, like Chad Dorman, and you went to the grocery store and you're in constant communication with your husband. That's like, oh, by the way, when you're out, can you pick this up? Can you do this? And you come home and you find your children dead. Would you hang by that person's side?
Personally, I couldn't.
No, I would have a big problem with it. I would have a big problem with that. And at some point, I would feel like I had been taken advantage of for the last so many months with all the different telehealth Zoom calls, all the different prescriptions, hiring a nanny, working from home. I would. And I know that this is something that's at this point minuscule in the whole situation. It does bother me because when she picked up Cora the day before and was told that Cora had been sick all day, she had a bellyache, she was constipated.
Yeah.
Why was that not relayed to Patrick that something was going on with Cora's stomach? He could have taken her to an urgent care. She's a nurse. He could have gone that night or on the way home from school. The nanny was watching the other children and cleaning the house. Why did she not stop and get something? But they went to the doctor the next morning. That, of course, felt a hard belly and said, yeah, she needs to go poo-poo. But she did not stop to get anything. They played in the snow, and then she asked him to go pick up takeout and then said, get the laxative.
Yeah. Which is something she could have done on her way back from the school.
From the school. The school's not going to give it out. No school is going to sit there and watch a kid shit. No way. No way. And
but I'm sure she could have called at a pharmacy somewhere between the school and home.
I know they have DoorDash there. Uh-oh. Radio Gods just came in. What's up, girlfriend? I know they have DoorDash. She could have got her home, got her settled, gave her some juice, got on her phone, which we know she knows how to freaking use, and been like, I need some Miralax and some apple juice.
Yeah. And also, it appears she didn't tell Patrick that the daughter was constipated and needed some kind of an aid to help relieve her situation.
But we go back to this list of why she's not in her right mind and why she was so dependent on people. She became a volunteer victim between the medical providers and all the pills.
And that is some list.
Has anyone in here ever had postpartum depression? I'm not talking psychosis because you wouldn't be in this chat. You'd be in fucking jail. Has anyone ever had postpartum depression?
Yep.
And how did it feel?
It was more that I wasn't a good enough mother. I was overprotective, overanalyzing everything. If the baby couldn't get upwind quickly enough, I felt I'm doing something wrong. It was mostly on me, and I was overprotective of the baby. And I just felt like I'm a failure as a mom.
Right. No, I had a lot of teary days, and I was, I was crying. My hormones were coming back together.
Oh yeah, the crying was constant. The smallest little thing. But never once did the thought of hurting the baby or hurting the child come into it. It was more about how I felt about myself as a mother.
Yeah, of course. It's scary being a mom. It is.
That I just wasn't doing a good enough job, and panic if the baby was 2 hours late waking up for a feed. Well, why didn't she wake up after 4? Things that once you get through it, you think to yourself, it shouldn't have been a big deal, but you're hormonal, you're tired. It's a whole new way of life, and you're just really trying to do your very best that you can do, and probably set too high a standard for yourself as a new mom.
I think a lot of that comes from because before you deliver, you've got so much energy. You think you can do anything. Your hair looks great. Your nails are growing. Your skin looks great. And then it's like someone just pulled the drain.
Yeah.
But with PPP, it's totally different. And I think I suffered from a little bit of it. I mean, I do. Felt like I was looking through a tunnel.
Yeah.
And that was, a little different, weird situation for me. And I talked to my doctor about it, and we worked through it. And it really from there wasn't a big deal.
First and foremost, the brain just has a reduced ability to take in oxygen. And in the smallest vessels in the face and brain, such as capillaries or venules, they are subject to rupture.
And as that pressure is building in those veins and are rupturing, is that painful?
Just like our blood vessels run throughout all of our body, there are nerves throughout all of our body as well. And so there is a component of pain present until loss of consciousness occurs.
And how long can it take, or does it take, for loss of consciousness to happen?
I cannot put a specific time on it for the interval. There's multiple variables to consider in a case-by-case basis. The type of ligature used, the force of the ligature used against the neck, as well as the intensity and duration of the altercation. However, in situations where there's complete oxygen deprivation, loss of consciousness can occur as early as 10 to 30 seconds, with brain damage beginning at the 1 minute mark and irreversible brain damage and subsequent death occurring around as early as 5 minutes, again, with the caveat that there are variables that might accelerate or decelerate that time frame.
Is there a type of constant pressure that's required to cause that loss of consciousness?
Ultimately,
To me, this was way too much for the jury. Okay. Lindsay
Yeah.
doubled over and, bawling her eyes out. That's to be expected considering she knows what she's done. But I mean, for the jury, they already know. It's almost like they're writing a tell-all book on how to do something like that.
Exactly.
I just got a little sick at my stomach, and they're like, well, it's evidence. They already presented that evidence. Why are we revisiting that? I just thought it was a little tacky, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, but my mind keeps going back to that her very first question was not, how are my children? Where are my children? But do I need an attorney?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very odd thing for a mom to come out of intubation or a coma or whatever and not think first of her children. I
remember hearing that back in, we did a show, I think it was in February of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And when they brought that up and she saw all the police around her and she asked if she needed an attorney. I think part of that could have been too, because she had always been taught that if police are questioning you, you better get an attorney.
Maybe so, yeah, possibly. But I think I still would have asked, how are my children?
Mm-hmm.
Because if she was in a psychosis, by this stage, you would assume she's out of that. So in a psychosis, she wouldn't have remembered doing what she had done.
No, not at all. And even if I saw the National Guard around me, I would be asking, what happened? Where are my kids?
Yeah. I think
what am I doing here? Because, I mean, from what I have been listening to, is that true psychosis is a traumatic brain injury almost to where you don't even remember what happened. Like you're going to wake up in that bed and you realize you can't walk. And you're going to say, like, what am I doing here? What happened?
Yeah. Where's my children? Where's my husband? What's going on here? Because you would have absolutely no memory of the incident.
I think going from provider to provider to provider to provider, not discussing her other plan, her checking herself out of inpatient because she wanted to plan a birthday party. Patrick saying it was okay. Actually, Patrick didn't. Her parents at that point were her healthcare proxy.
Yeah. And they were obviously going to allow her to do such a thing as check herself out for a birthday party, where sadly now there won't be any more birthday parties to plan.
No. Nope. Those babies they're in heaven.
Yeah.
Those babies are in heaven.
So it would have been worth staying, having the treatment that maybe could have prevented all this. Just maybe.
It could happen. I think it was a bad deal when that one nurse or doctor said that, go ahead and make, your parents your healthcare proxy instead of your husband.
Yeah.
I think that he should have been the one to be over her. So, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, I would feel that way too. And as a spouse, he should have felt that way too, because it directly affected his children as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just him. If there was a mental illness there,
mm-hmm.
it affects the whole family, not just the patient.
Well, and he gets a bad rap because he didn't want all this going on. He just wanted her well.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like one provider should be enough. I mean, and he did come off as an asshole on the stand, and I don't know how people expect him to act. His ex-wife killed his children, his whole lineage.
Yeah.
Done, gone.
And she was in contact with him while he was gone for that 45 minutes. So, you know, it's hard to know when did this psychosis actually start.
Mm-hmm. Great question, and they're going to have to explain that. When she had everything planned out for that evening to go pick up the food, she called in the food. And she said, get up, get the laxatives. Is that when she went into psychosis? That's what we have the title. Was she really in psychosis, or was this all pre-planned? I couldn't imagine pre-planning making yourself paralyzed from the waist down.
Once the brain has a critically low level of oxygen, a loss of consciousness will occur. It takes an average of 4 pounds to compress the veins of the neck and an average of around 10 pounds to compress the arteries of the neck.
And so if someone's squeezing something or pulling something around the neck at that 4 pounds or 10 pounds of pressure in a consistent basis without any resistance, does unconsciousness happen faster?
It could occur faster, yes.
What if someone's resisting or struggling or pulling away? Could that take longer?
When the body is in a state of stress, you have a stress response that demands an actual increase in oxygen utilization by our body. So in the presence of an increased demand with a decreased amount being delivered to the brain, it can accelerate the timeline to loss of consciousness.
What do you mean by accelerate the time to loss of consciousness?
No, overall, you can ask.
It would just make it occur faster.
And so if that pressure...
Does he have a new child or not? I have been told, yes, he does. Him and his new wife, Rachel, they ran the Boston Marathon. They ran the New York Marathon. They've been friends for a long time. They have a new baby. Then some people say, no, they don't. Does he have a child with her or not? It's really no big deal to me. It just seems to be something that upsets people.
I actually haven't heard that he had, to be honest.
Okay.
I knew of Rachel, who, as you said, is a doppelganger for Lindsay. He definitely has a type. And I mean, even if he does have a new child, is that anybody else's business? Is he not entitled to move on? And not that he could ever replace the children he's lost, but is he not entitled to have more children? You know, it's...
I don't see why not. He's not the one that killed 3 children.
Exactly. He tried to save them when he came home, which is why his prints were on the ligature things, but I really don't see what the issue would be if he did have a new baby.
If they truly want to charge her with some sort of, there's no capital murder in Massachusetts. Matter of fact, they passed a bill this week saying that a woman can abort a baby up to the day of delivery. True story. They all stood around the governor's desk and they clapped. They said that was great. So instead of 24 weeks, you have a choice. I'm not talking medical emergency. I'm not talking stillborn. I'm not talking your child has this going on. I'm not talking prolapse, uterus, placenta, nothing. Your choice up until the day of delivery, you can do it. And so that's going to be an issue here as well. All right, so let's get back to Patrick. I don't expect this man to be unloved, not working, and not moving on with his life for the rest of his life. And
No.
yes, he was subpoenaed. And yes, he was forthcoming. And yes, he was gritting his teeth the whole time because this is something he also doesn't want to revisit.
No. Of course not. Must be the most unbelievable, horrendous experience to have to sit there and listen to this.
And I know people ask all the time, what did he do with that GoFundMe money? Well, my understanding is there is an amazing playground in Duxbury, and he paid for his children's funerals, and he sold his home, which, by the way, that would be his money either way.
Yeah, of course.
If Denny gave me $5 right now, guess what, bitches? That's my money.
Yeah, I ain't getting that back.
Hell no. And he's suing all those providers. By the way, Lindsay will get zero of that money. Zero. Because they can't sue together because they are divorced. He is suing on behalf of himself and his 3 children. So he obviously believes the defense. So let's put it this way. That's a lot of money he's suing for. He's on Lindsay's side.
Yeah.
He's on the defense's side. If he was on the state's side, he would just be like, crazy bitch, crazy bitch. No. He has active lawsuits against all of those practitioners.
Isn't constant. Say someone struggles and is able to get free a little bit, and then you have to tighten it again. Does that make it take longer?
Sustained.
You said anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds. What are the factors? I'm sorry, you said 10 to 30 seconds. Is that correct?
Yes, for loss of consciousness.
What are the factors that are at play for whether it's 10 seconds or 30 seconds?
Again, there's multiple variables. So the force of the ligature against the neck, the actual ligature itself, and the intensity and duration of the altercation.
And once someone loses consciousness, do they immediately die?
No. So if there's no intervention, the brain continues to have a lack of oxygen. And so until the brain cells start to die, it's irreversible injury to the brain. The person is alive until the body can no longer sustain the lack of oxygen.
If someone is strangled to the point of unconsciousness and the strangulation stops, can they wake up?
Without intervention is very unlikely.
So do you recall testifying previously?
This is where we get to the human side of things. For one, Kevin Reddington and his staff, they've had 3 years to get to know Lindsay.
Yeah.
And Patrick. And all the medical records, and her parents, and the in-laws, and all of them want her institutionalized. They don't want her in jail. Okay?
Yeah.
His wife is a nurse. And the way that he rubs her shoulders, the way that he holds her hand, and things like that, that's the human side of it. Now, it's hard to see. It really is. I mean, I believe it or not, I do have a soft spot in my body. Now then, you listen to the state, even though the judge keeps saying sustained, sustained, sustained. They keep on and keep on and keep on. Even though you see jurors over there, one physically threw up. One was retching and couldn't get water up. There's no microphones. There's no cameras on the tree. Several were crying. They already know how to strangle someone.
Yeah. I personally couldn't I don't think I'd make it through a day of that.
So this testimony tells me that the state's about to rest, and they want to put that in the jury's mind.
Yeah, that image is what they're leaving them with, that horrific image of a baby and little ones being strangled. I mean,
yeah,
that would make anybody vomit.
And when Kevin Reddington kept jumping up, saying object, sustained, saying like stop, just stop what
Yeah.
you're doing. They've seen pictures. You are going through detail by detail how to strangle a child. That's a little too much right now.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's giving out the step-by-step guide how to strangle a little one, and it's a bit much. They have seen the pictures, they will have seen the bruising.
He told to them in jury selection that she strangled all 3 of her children.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is saying we're not arguing that.
Yeah.
So get to something else. Bring up more of her doctors. Put her parents on the stand. Why don't we try that?
They're just focusing on the horrible, tragic deaths those babies had.
There's a better way to do it. And when you hear jurors are throwing up and crying and asked to be dismissed and they're sequestered, that's not a good look. It's just not. Do we have a love connection in here? Karma Libra after running back. V Oakley is telling him to be good. Oh my gosh, what to do?
That when asked if a person were to use a ligature around someone's neck to the point where they pass out.
Counsel, we had that answer, right?
It's an inconsistent statement.
This is your witness.
I know, and I can impeach with an inconsistent statement.
I see it's sidebar.
Well, it's inconsistent because he already said we agree to the whole testimony. You could have brought her up for the record to say, yeah, I was a medical examiner, and be done with it. They already heard it before from the coroner. They already knew. They already knew. Do we need a music break? Because obviously Running Buck needs something. Does anybody want a music break? Okay, V. Oakley said yes. Okay. All right. Woo! That took our mood down a temperature. Fatal Paper Cut said they don't DMCA for Wallen. It's called an edit. Isn't that cute, Gaelic, when men think we don't know how to mow a yard?
Isn't it?
I know. We have done this for a little bit. Thank you, Paper Cut, for looking out. So sweet.
Can you even use the streamers?
Editing fun. Exactly. That's what we do. I probably already have an email saying can't be monetized and it takes like 13 seconds and you cut it out. All right. So where are we at right now on our poll? Because right now, I think I hurt Paper Cut's feelings. I didn't mean to. That's okay. All right, so let's talk about her main provider. This is the psychiatrist. Her name is Jennifer Tufts. Tufts. And she looks like someone that would babysit your kids after church when you were having fried chicken. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the psychiatrist. Now let's look at what she is skilled in. PTSD, trauma-related disorders, mood disorders, anxiety, OCD, ADHD, substance abuse. She has a particular interest in women's mental health, perinatal psychiatry from pregnancy through 2 years postpartum. Okay.
It's quite an impressive.
Quite an impressive. Yeah, I'm going to make one of those for me too. That's okay. What they're doing is just throwing M&Ms at people, saying, "There you go. Now you can sleep." Kind of like back in the day, take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, there are people that specialize in postpartum. There are.
Yeah. And you would imagine having, I believe she had postpartum before, that she would have been under the care of somebody that specialized totally in postpartum care.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the weeks, I know of somebody who was in that position, and even in the 3-4 weeks prior to birth, she was already going in and talking to the psychiatrist.
Right.
She was under to prepare herself to well, I won't say prepare herself for postpartum, but to give her a helping hand, aids and how to deal with the panic, the feelings that she was starting to feel already.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, at that stage, there was no medicinal intervention because of the baby. But it was just to have everything in place for afterwards, for after the birth, so that she could immediately begin her treatments. Now, unfortunately, she never got to feed her babies herself because of this, but
Listen, I'm not saying childbirth is easy. I will say I look at Chad Dorman that had PTSD from the Afghan war and he killed all these children. He's in jail for life. Okay, then I get to someone that I like to listen to from time to time. Matt Walsh. I don't know if you guys like him or not. I find him very common sense and sometimes funny. He said, the fact that you think certain genitals are required to have an opinion about the murder of 3 children just proves that you are nearly as morally deranged and monstrous as the woman you're defending. You are a very stupid person and also a very bad person. An extremely unfortunate combination.
Yeah. Well, it's true. These children had a father as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't limit it to.
I think we can all agree that. I think we can all agree that you have a totally different genetic makeup than a man does, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. And I definitely do. That's the reason there's this argument all the time about men playing in women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say murder is murder. There are a lot of people, men and women, that are institutionalized because their brain is mush. And I think right now that she needs to be institutionalized. Do you remember the kid, the schizophrenic that killed Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever heard of Ed Gein?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people, they can't be in the jail. They just can't. But that's up to the experts. My only thing is, states like Massachusetts, I don't want her wheeling in there and 6 months later she gets a hug and a pill and she goes and lives with her parents. She has to pay for what she's done. Now let's look at the psychiatrist.
Yes.
Until you came in this courtroom Friday, you never saw this woman in person, did you?
Correct.
Were you ever concerned about her mental health as a person?
Absolutely.
She was crying. She told you symptoms that she couldn't get out of bed.
Okay, so let's talk about this. If someone can't get their ass out of bed and they're crying, okay, should you teleport them and talk to them on the computer, or insist they come to the office? Because you might have to put them in the hospital. Can you trust someone who's crazy to talk to you on the phone or the computer to take themselves to the ER?
Well, no, you can't make a proper diagnosis. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Over the phone. It would be like
Oh my gosh, Greg, women murder thousands of children daily. You're in timeout. You sick fucking freak. Someone time him out. Idiot. God. I'd love to know where he gets his statistics. Go ahead. Sorry, everyone. Ignore my husband. I guess he forgets about all the male-on-male crime that goes on. Go ahead, Denny.
Yeah. I was just wondering, did she say she hadn't seen her personally before?
Never once.
Never once.
No.
But
And
she
if Greg wants to grab
prescribed
me,
her.
he can come up and he can give me his data.
No, I'm sorry. If she had never seen the patient,
never.
I mean,
never.
At that point, she should have either insisted she come in or, send Ellie or emergency services to do a well check. As a psychiatrist, if someone
She couldn't get out of bed and she was ferociously crying, intrusive thoughts, dark thoughts, and all they kept doing was this. This is what was going on. More pills, more pills, more pills, more pills. There's only one person that I know of, not that I need the help, that is actually considered an expert in postpartum depression, which can lead to psychosis, and that is Dr. Suresh Rayancha in upstate New York, because he treats everything with a light sedative and diet. You have to get back on your diet.
Yeah.
A healthy diet.
But you also
tell me, what did you eat when you were pregnant?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. Just the basic diet, except for some reason I just couldn't tolerate eggs.
Okay.
But curry chips and for some reason blue pops were my craving. But yeah, basically you need to get back on your proper diet, your vegetables.
If you're nursing.
Yeah. But it's
Isn't that
crazy.
right?
At one time, she said it was difficult to get out of bed.
Oh, difficult to get out. Why was it difficult for Lindsay Clancy to get out of bed?
Because she was very depressed.
And did you give her a hug? Oh, no, you're on telemedicine, so you couldn't give her a hug, could you? You didn't have any chance to even look at her in person, did you?
I could look at her. It was always a video appointment. I couldn't give her a hug, but that's not actually something that psychiatrists typically do with patients.
I imagine. Now I'm looking at you, and you've got the witness stand cutting you off in half, right? So I can't see from your waist down, your legs, your feet, your hands, anything. That's the same view that you have on the telemedicine, right?
Yes.
Isn't it fair to say that you've studied and that you've learned that there are objective manifestations that patients may have that would be a tell, like if you're playing poker, you have a tell, that would be an indicia of the fact that they're stressed or emotionally disturbed, right?
Yes.
Like hand wringing, right?
Yes.
Were you able to see the hands wringing when you were on telemedicine?
I don't recall seeing her hands.
Recall, you know how people sit there and they do this with their leg and the leg bounces because they're going through some type of emotional stress? You couldn't even see her legs, could you?
I couldn't see her legs, but I knew that she was under stress.
So when she came to you, September 15th, I believe, is the first time that you all actually discussed her condition, correct?
Yes.
looking at the medical records, which the jury will be able to look at, it says visit date September 15th, 2022, and you can look along with me if you wish. Indicates why she came to see you, right?
Yes.
Right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Why did she come to see you? According, not guessing and speculating, never mind the TV. You just look at your notes. Tell me what brought Lindsay Clancy to your office.
Postpartum anxiety.
Is that it? Is that what you noted in the records?
Well, those were her words when asked, what are the problems for which you are seeking help?
I see. Postpartum anxiety. Now, as a psychiatrist, meeting with this young woman after a month or so of working as a psychiatrist for Astor, there are tests that you administer to a woman who's in postpartum to find out what type of anxiety they have, right?
Well, there are some screening tests, but the most important thing is what the patient tells you and what my assessment is in the session.
I see. And that would carry through the Tufts evaluations for all 14 of those meetings, is what the patient tells you, right?
Yes, and what I observe in the session.
Through the television.
Through the computer.
If anybody wants a really good French onion dip recipe, just get some Greek yogurt or sour cream, whatever your preference, and get some dry Lipton onion soup mix. Stir it up, a little bit of Worcestershire, just a little bit. Let it sit, and I'm telling you, you will be in hog heaven.
Sounds good.
I'm going to call my husband and tell him he can come back. Well, he was trying to change the subject. He's trying to go. I guarantee he won't answer. I'm telling you, it's so good.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Normal.
Greg Jones.
Normal behavior. Laura, call Greg. Such a butthole.
Your call has been forwarded.
Looks like we're going to have one of those days. I'm telling you, you try that, my friends. It's really good.
Sounds good.
What, if you can tell me, is the Edinburgh test?
It is a scale that looks at symptoms of postpartum depression.
And when you administer, that's a major test, isn't it, for a doctor to evaluate a patient for PPD?
I wouldn't say it's a major test.
It's a pretty big one, though, isn't it? It's the only one that measures the postpartum depression, right?
It's a common one.
It's a what?
Commonly used.
Commonly. All right, so when you used it on Lindsay, when was that administered to her?
I did not use it on Lindsay.
Why?
We used the PHQ-9, which
What is the PHQ-9?
It's a depression screening form.
That's like generalized anxiety disorder, general depression. It's got nothing to do with a woman suffering from postpartum depression, does it?
I disagree.
Well, do you agree that people perhaps that may know a little more than you determined that the Edinburgh scale is the appropriate scale to administer to a pregnant or postpartum woman?
Sustained as the form.
You're familiar with the Edinburgh scale, right?
I've heard of it.
And can you explain to me how it's graded?
No, I cannot.
There are 30 questions in it, are there not?
I don't use this scale, so I don't know how many questions there are.
So,
True story. She doesn't. She admitted it right there on the stand. what she does is say that she is an expert in postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. But all she does is sit across the computer from people and send pills to their pharmacy.
Crazy. Just, I can't believe how she can make a proper diagnosis without seeing a patient one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears she doesn't seem to know the 30 questions that are most commonly used to diagnose postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you claim to be a specialist or a specialist in that area? She appears to be treating common depression and ailments, psychiatric ailments, as opposed to specifically postpartum,
Mm-hmm.
which are two different ball games.
Big time.
The Edinburgh scale, do you even know that the cutoff for someone that is depressed in their condition of postpartum would be 15? Anything over that, they're in severe depression?
Okay.
Do you know that her first Edinburgh test that was administered to her put her at a 23
Objection.
overall? Severe depression?
I was not aware of this test. I was not aware that this had been administered to her.
Well, you know that except for the Prozac that she had when she was a nurse, what, 23, 24, 23 years old?
Okay, let's go through some of the questions. Okay, let's go through some of the questions, all right? And if anyone has just recently had a baby, don't participate in this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to ask Denny these questions. Do you feel sad or empty?
Do I feel what?
Sad or empty?
A little sad, yeah.
You didn't just have a baby, Denny. Pretend like you just had a baby.
No, not right now, no.
Eating too much or too little?
Same as usual.
Sleeping too much or too little?
Same as usual.
Do you cry for no clear reason? Remember, this is just after having a baby or months after having a baby.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
After having my baby, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Feeling more angry than usual after having a baby?
No.
Okay. Pulling away from family, friends, and husband?
Just a husband.
Dear God. Worrying or feeling anxious often?
Yes, that would have been one.
Okay. Do you have any interest in your baby?
Yes.
Okay. Constant doubts about your ability to care for your baby?
That was the major one, yep.
Okay. Thinking about hurting yourself and or your baby?
No.
But she did not administer that test to her. She asked her none of those questions. And I don't know any new mother that says, wow, I slept like a rock last night. Gotta be kidding me. Boy, I'll tell you what, old baby didn't move all night. Couldn't believe
No.
during the day, wanted 2 ounces every hour. And look at this. No.
She hadn't, other than seeing her own doctor for having a baby, she hadn't seen any doctors. You knew that, right?
I didn't know exactly which doctor she sees. I think we ask about your primary care doctor, but she did not report any other medical issues that she was under treatment for.
So is it important for Dr. Jennifer Tufts to know whether or not a patient who is coming to you for help has a prior medical history other than what they might tell you?
Well, when patients are able to advocate for themselves and share their medical history, we rely on what they tell us.
Was she able to advocate for herself, in your opinion, when she came to see you, when you evaluated her in September?
Absolutely.
How about October?
Yes.
How about November?
Yes.
How about December?
Yes.
And your medical records, you would agree, show that during that period of time that she was deteriorating, was a word that was used on Friday. Isn't that right?
So.
No. You used the word deteriorating on Friday, did you not?
She was a little bit worse at certain appointments, and the deteriorating word, which is not my word choice, is what is in the note because I had to select that.
Because why? You have some kind of a program that you have to check the box and you have to bring down the drop box. You can't take a pen and write something down about a patient.
There are certain parts of the note where I can write whatever I feel is necessary, but
just my opinion, and I'm not a doctor. I would have called the nearest hospital as her doctor that was over her care at the time, even though it's over an app, and said, I need someone to get her right now.
Exactly.
That does not equate murder. It equates not being a good provider.
Yeah. Most certainly. She didn't even have any of her medical history. No back, nothing to work with. And if she was deteriorating, she most certainly should have been contacting the nearest hospital. I have a patient here that needs care.
Hence why most psychiatrists see you there in person. And if you're having some kind of something going on, or most doctors see you in person, they can keep you there and they can call an ambulance for you. They can say, sit right here while I'm doing this. They will trick you. My friend Jennifer went to an ophthalmologist because she said she couldn't see very well. She wanted to get glasses. They took her blood pressure. It was through the roof. And they said, oh no, we got to call an ambulance. This is not about your eyes. Your blood pressure is sky high. And they took her to the hospital. Her eyes are fine. I mean, they're fine. But her blood pressure wasn't.
Exactly. Even to use, it seemed like she was at a very bad point when she contacted this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then to use a word like deteriorate and not up the level of care to hospital treatment, to be honest, I'd be looking at a malpractice suit there.
Oh, it's on the way. And here's the whole thing. And by the way, Dr. Jennifer Tufts will never have to worry about that. Okay, her malpractice insurance, or the person that she works for, that's what's going to pay it. She'll pay zero out of pocket. That's how it goes. Doctors are protected. Hence why I said earlier in the show, when somebody that has been overprescribed medication, if that doctor doesn't lose their license, then we have a big problem.
Huge.
Big problem. Andrea Yates, I'm not going to get mad at her doctor because he testified that he told both her and crazy ass Rusty, do not have any more children because she will get worse with each pregnancy. They were warned.
Yeah.
But these people, they didn't do anything more than up her dosages and switch her out. And these are mind-altering medications.
That specific aspect of the note is a button where you have to click one of 3 choices.
So when the jury's going through your medical records, one of the things that they're going to see is that when you meet with the patient, you have a form that you fill out where it says, if you feel like you're going to harm yourself or somebody else, make sure you go to the emergency room, right?
Yes.
If you have any urges to harm yourself or others, go to the nearest emergency room. That's in every single time that you meet with a patient, right?
Yes.
And it indicates that if there's any, call the suicide prevention and crisis hotline. If you feel that you're in crisis, you may text home to a particular number anytime. What's a suicide hotline?
It's a phone number that patients in crisis can call and speak to a trained counselor.
Now, a psychiatrist, you'd agree with me, is not a counselor, that's for sure, right?
Well, a psychiatrist has training in therapy as well as in medicine.
Did you give Lindsay Clancy any therapy?
There was some therapy incorporated in our sessions,
Like
but
what?
we did
Like what?
providing emotional support, listening to her.
Hold on, no, please.
Finish her answer. Hold on, hold on, everybody. She can.
Okay. So you are visualizing your patient. You say said patient is deteriorating. You check some boxes, which are formulary, and one of them says, if you feel like doing something to yourself or someone else, please go to the ER. Now, how many times a day does that work?
0.
Okay.
Probably.
We had a murder-suicide in Broken Arrow a few months ago. That man was in serious crisis. He had been to a doctor, and he had a pamphlet that said, call 988. You'll talk to a counselor. But hey, if you feel like you're going to annihilate your whole family, please go to the nearest hospital. Now, how does that work after you have given people all kinds of crazy ass medication?
Yeah, mind-altering drugs.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Nope. I always assumed the suicide hotlines were for people with the ideology as opposed to that they are about to do something. You know, that in the initial stages, maybe. But it's if someone is deteriorating and you're the doctor, no, it should be, I'm sorry, you need to be admitted for proper psychiatric evaluation and care.
Yeah. Some people have what's called strength of mind to where they don't need to lay in bed for a week, and some people are different. Lindsay obviously was different. Okay.
Yeah.
Higgy 57 said hello from the other side. Woo, we got people coming out of the bushes.
Wow.
Some people just can't. They can't deal with their own thoughts.
No.
They can't deal with their own emotions. They can't deal with that type of stuff. And it's a-okay. There's medication for that. But there's also a way to regulate it. This Girl Scout here, who looks about 2 years older than Christina Banbury's daughter, is like, oh, I just met her on the computer, you know, like they met on Craigslist or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
so I sent it to her pharmacy. And then she had 17 visits.
Yeah. I mean, that there should have been a huge red flag
Even
alone.
she's got to pay. And I'm telling you what, we've got like Chad Dorman. I was furious about that. That man killed his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, all right, fine. Ohio, kill him. Do whatever you want to do. But you better take every single license away from those doctors. You guys can look at my playlist.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that anyone can fully diagnose a patient without ever having seen them.
I don't think it can happen that way. No. You got to see a doctor. Let's say you have high blood pressure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to take your blood pressure manually.
Yeah. And even for what Lindsay had psychiatrically, you would assume she went for a visit, they would take her blood pressure, because sometimes the medications can alter your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just do it for a general, feeling of how they're doing on the day. But what this lady's doing is just basically, okay, this drug didn't work, I'll up the dose or I'll put you on the next one.
I was doing a lot of research on this telehealth medicine, and hey, listen, it would make my life easier because I'm a lazy bitch. Ask anyone. Ask my husband. He's in here. I saw like pregnant women. Okay, there's certain clinics in California that'll say, okay, stand up, measure your stomach, and they'll tell them from the pubic bone up to where they are, feel that, and then they look at it and they write it down. And I'm like, the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Correct?
And the Prozac, yes.
You know that, in fact, that she had stopped drinking whatever it was that she was drinking, because you never asked, right?
I was not concerned about her level of drinking.
Well, it's in your form, right?
That was at the intake, but
did you know that she wasn't drinking when you were meeting with her, correct?
That's what she told me.
She was also eating gummies. She was also drinking wine, and she was also taking all of this. You didn't think to bring her in and get a CBC and figure out how all of that was going on. She said a couple of glasses of wine a night. That would be like me saying I only had one beer. Get the fuck out of town.
Exactly.
That'd be like Denny saying she doesn't like Bailey's. Okay?
That's never going to happen. Yeah, and most of those drugs listed there would have a warning, do not mix with alcohol.
Well, everybody looks at warnings, don't we? When's the last time you all bought a toaster? Did anyone look at the warning on there? When it says don't put it in the bathtub, obviously you don't do it because that would be stupid. But if you are drinking wine every night and taking Klonopin, Seroquel, Remeron, all of these different medications, do you really think it's not going to cause a problem?
Oh, it is going to cause a problem, and it was her doctor should have been or should have had knowledge of her intake of alcohol.
And if she lived with her, but that's not going to work.
No, but when you're often asked, you know, how many units of alcohol you would have in a week when you go to your doctor, when you actually go visit a doctor. But I'm assuming across the video or whatever they were doing, she didn't ask her that question.
She would have been better off having part of a gummy and drinking a little bit of wine than all of this.
Yeah.
The worst she's going to do is get a little silly and go to bed early.
Yep.
Okay, and you believe what she told you, right?
Yes.
So when she sees you, she's not on any psychiatric antitropics or whatever they're called medications, correct? She wasn't on any medication.
Correct.
And she had stopped drinking anything, whatever it may have been, right?
I'm not sure when she completely stopped drinking, but yes.
You don't know when she started, when she stopped, what she drank, do you?
Well, I was not concerned that she was an alcoholic.
Oh, now we're getting technical. She said, I was not concerned she was an alcoholic. However, on her website, she says she also treats addiction behavior, which would be alcoholism. Kimberly says, she says, I know of a girl who was once on mood elevators and drank wine and died. We have a very good friend in here. She's not in here right now. Her daughter drank with a bipolar medication, and yeah, it killed her.
Yeah.
And any doctor that believes someone that says, oh, I socially drink. Okay, nobody remembers socially drinking. Nobody's thinking about clicking a glass on New Year's Eve. They're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about a couple of sips of wine at the Italian restaurant for grandma's birthday. That is not what it means. They know the difference between if they drink or they don't. And no doctor believes it. But Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie here, she damn sure knows what it means. She said, oh, I didn't think she was an alcoholic. You didn't get into it.
Exactly.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this. I am not going to be popular. It is still not her fault. It is not Dr. Jennifer Tuff's fault. If she wasn't concerned, in her professional opinion, that Lindsay was abusing the medication with the alcohol,
yeah,
that is her professional opinion. If Patrick wins all of these millions of dollars, malpractice will pay it. At the end of the day, who has paid?
Children.
The children. There you go.
Yes or no? Did you have any idea? Because we spent a long time on Friday talking about her guilt and having that she drank alcohol You don't know what she drank, when she started, when she stopped, do you?
I know some details about her alcohol use, but it was overall minimal.
What were the details then? Tell me what the details were. There was that one little box that was checked off. What other details were there?
That she drank 1 to 2 times a week, 1 to 2 servings 5 times a week.
And you don't know where, what it was? You have no idea, right?
I think she.
I can tell you what it was. It's very simple to follow. She liked to have 2 glasses of wine when she was getting her kids down to sleep. It would make her feel better. Patrick did not like her drinking at all. Okay? True story. That's what he has said. He gave an entire interview to the New Yorker. She sent him out so she could drink. But she also took her pills and it made her fucking crazy. Now, on that note, does that make her guilty of murder or not guilty by reason of insanity? I called this years ago, and so did you, Denny.
No. I mean, she knowingly drank alcohol while taking medications that she shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, adult or not, I don't think we all take our medications the way we should.
No.
There's a big difference between someone that wants to tie one on and someone that's told to take some medication and you're like, oh, hell, this is going to make it a lot faster.
Yeah. But the thing is, you might not take them as we should or whatever, but 3 children didn't die because of that.
Exactly. The wine didn't do it.
No.
She picked up her daughter the day before. She knew her daughter was sick. She's a nurse. She didn't pick up one thing to get her daughter to go to the bathroom.
No,
she
and she would have
doctor the next day. She didn't stop to get apple juice, prunes, raisins, nothing. By the way, go ahead and put in chat what makes you go to the bathroom. She tells Patrick to go pick up some food. She was going to get the kids ready for bed. I just have a feeling she took a couple of chugs of wine, took her pills, and she went off the rails. A feeling. What happened?
I mean, you can only surmise. I mean, the type of pills she was on are highly.
Good God, look at him. Could you imagine taking that?
Alcohol on top of that? Well, you would be completely be out of your mind.
She's a nurse. She could have easily given her daughter an enema.
Yeah.
Her little belly was hard as a rock.
Or have stopped at a pharmacy and bought an over-the-counter remedy.
Nope. She sent Patrick out to get a meal over at V. Then said go to CVS. And in the meantime, I have a feeling while he was working in another room, she had already taken the pills and was sipping on wine. Because this is a different type of psychosis. All right?
Yeah.
And by the time they got to everything, they already know what medication was in her body. But alcohol dissipates very fast. Very fast, especially wine.
I had mentioned at some point that it was calming. It was something that was
what? I'm
helpful.
sorry.
Calming.
Calming. Okay,
Calming.
so it was numbing. It was like trying to numb something, I guess, right?
That's one way of saying it.
I mean, I imagine you've treated veterans that had post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that many times when people have an anxiety disorder or PTSD or whatever the case may be, they try to numb their feelings? Is that fair?
Sometimes they do.
And sometimes they use alcohol. Right?
Sometimes they do.
We don't know what alcohol should be. You know if it was a beer.
I didn't think that was relevant for her.
So with all of that, with that information, you then prescribed Zoloft to her, correct?
Yes.
You went over the side effects of Zoloft, sertraline, I imagine, with her, right?
Yes.
Did you tell her that one of the known side effects is suicidal thoughts and actions and ideation?
Well, that's specifically in children. So I don't think I mentioned that because it wasn't relevant.
Not really. Suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. There's a black box warning, Zoloft, along with other SSRIs, right?
Under
Yes or
age
no?
for children and adults younger than Lindsay.
Excuse me, doctor, I apologize. Can you just listen to my question and answer it yes or no? Is there a black box?
She can't.
No.
She can't. Is there a black box warning for? She's like, not for children. You weren't treating the children, you fucking idiot. Cora, Dawson, and Callan were not your patients.
Exactly.
And if someone puts on there that they socially drink, you do not prescribe any of these things. You don't do it. You might give them like a little bit of Lexapro, a little bit of Paxil, but you don't throw the whole war chest at them.
No.
No patient. I don't care who you are, unless you're in extreme pain, is 100% honest with their doctor. They're just not. Because you want help. And if you think that you're telling them the whole 9 yards, you're not going to get help. Now, me, on the other hand, I am too honest. That's the reason the fuckers keep me in the hospital for 2 days and find a blood clot. I should have been home by 6 o'clock and hanging out with OJ.
Yeah. I kind of have that problem myself. They like to hang on to me. But, yeah. There are medications she could have prescribed that didn't interact with alcohol.
Yeah, I would think so. But she brought out the war chest instead of just saying, all right, I'm going to give you Zoloft and we're going to wait 6 weeks, see how it works. Do you have a system of people to be around you? Yes, my husband's working from home. He hired a nanny. I've got parents not too far away, in-laws not too far away, and I've got a lot of friends. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But instead it turned into, all right, cool, I'm going to put you on Ativan. All right, we're going to do Klonopin. All right, we're going to do Seroquel. Okay, we're going to take you off this and put you on another one. That's crazy behavior.
Warning on Zoloft.
Yes.
And a black box warning is required or prescribed by what? The FDA?
Probably.
Probably. And it basically warns that, especially with young people or young adults, that it may cause suicidal or, God forbid, homicidal ideation. Yes?
Yes.
And you're aware that, in fact, the FDA has determined that that goes up possibly to a 23, 24, 25-year-old. You know that, right?
I think 24 is what they say.
All right, I'll give you 24. It's possible, is it not, that the SSRIs that get into a person's brain affect a person that's 3 or 4 years older than the FDA cutoff with suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation? It's possible.
There's a lot of development that happens in the brain between ages like up to 24 and closer to 30. The brain is fully matured at past age 24, and so it's less vulnerable than in a younger individual.
So with 24, you're suggesting as a cutoff, are you suggesting to the jury that a drug that increases the risk of suicide in a 24-year-old patient cannot increase the risk of suicide in a 29 or a 30-year-old patient? Just a little bit.
I don't believe there's evidence that it causes that at all in individuals over 24.
So, as a psychiatrist who had the ability to issue these types of medications to patients and citizens, what research did you do on Zoloft and suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation?
I was taught extensively about SSRIs and suicidal ideation in my training.
Right?
In Vermont, in Boston, yes.
Okay.
Vermont and Boston, and we all know about the lawsuits with Zoloft, and a lot of people got money, from that. I worked with a girl named Tracy, and she was taking Vicodin. This is back in the early 2000s. She drove all the way to Oklahoma City from the Port of Catoosa, was on the treadmill, and she ran on it, and she's about 5'2", about 200 pounds. She's as big around as she is tall. And they told her there was nothing wrong with her. And they gave her $16 for driving out there. And she came walking back into work and she was super pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But now here's Dum Dum acting like she invented all the molecules. Oh, there's no research to show. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, she can't assume to know the chemical imbalance in her patient's brain either.
Not over the computer. Sitting there with a woman that can't get out of bed and she's crying. And then instead, you pull this out. Look at that damn list.
I mean, a psychiatric ward would use that amount of SSRIs in a day. It's crazy.
You'd be better off giving her a damn Thorazine shot and sending her home and letting her lay there and shit herself for 3 days. And I'm not even a doctor.
Medical sense, not just like out in the street or something.
Explaining to a patient the risks and benefits of treatment and possible alternatives, and making sure that the patient understands what you're saying.
Now, when you were going over the symptomology or when you were going over the side effects of Zoloft, one of the side effects of Zoloft is, and I quote, severe trouble sleeping, right?
Yes.
Did you tell her that?
Well, insomnia is listed as a side effect.
No. You already said yes. You know it. Just did you tell her that Zoloft has a side effect of giving the patient severe trouble sleeping? That's all.
So I didn't use the word severe because it typically doesn't cause severe trouble sleeping, but I thought you were referring to when she told me that she did have severe trouble sleeping.
Well,
and that
that's
was
what
true.
she told you, right? That she had severe trouble sleeping, right?
She told me, yes.
And you know that one of the side effects of Zoloft is, let's say, trouble sleeping. You know that, right?
Yes.
Your answer is yes. The jury has to be able to hear you.
Yes.
And why would you prescribe Zoloft to a young woman who's postpartum, who's coming to you with anxiety, who's telling you she can't sleep, she's got all of these symptoms, and you prescribe a medication that would have a side effect of trouble sleeping?
So individuals have very varied responses to medications. Some have no side effects, some have one or two. It's impossible to predict, but Zoloft is a top choice, a first-line medication for
Says
her.
who?
It was
Says who?
Says it's the general consensus
Well, know
among
about the lawsuits
psychiatrists.
against
Hold on,
Zoloft, right?
again, we can't have both of you talk.
I have a big problem when a doctor says it's the general consensus, as in we're each human beings.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say Denny and I go to the doctor right now with the exact same symptoms. Okay. I'm in room A, she's in room B, and we're each given the same exact medication. Let's say it works great for Denny and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel like a brand new person. It doesn't work for me. You can't say general consensus and tell someone else to keep taking it. It doesn't work that way.
No, because there is the what most doctors will tell you is no two patients react the same way.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
So yes, it could work for me and you might have no relief whatsoever.
True story.
At the same time. So let her finish her answer, and then I'll give you plenty of time to follow up any questions regarding her answer. So you finish your answer on that?
There's extensive research supporting the use of sertraline in this instance, and the general consensus among psychiatrists is that it's a first-line safe medication for individuals, including postpartum women.
How about the kids that shoot other kids in high schools and the lawsuits that come out of that against Zoloft? You ever read about them?
Overrule.
Sorry? I wasn't sure what the question was.
The question was,
she's an idiot. He asked about all the kids that are prescribed Zoloft. Okay. The judge said overruled, and then the witness said, I'm sorry, what did you say? So he gets to ask it again. I don't think she understands how it works. If the judge says overruled, it means you don't have to ask it. If the witness asks a question, then the lawyer gets to ask it again. You know, this chick is not good at this.
in response to your observation about how all the psychiatrists think it's a very, very safe, wonderful first-line drug, and you researched it. How about the kids that kill other kids in schools with the lawsuits that arise out of the use of SSRIs? Have you ever researched that?
I don't know much about that.
You know about the SSRIs and messing with someone's brain. They go out and they shoot people for no reason, right?
I'm not aware that that's linked to SSRIs.
So you didn't really talk to her about increased risk of suicide, and 24-year-olds are down because she's 4 or 5 years older than that. You didn't talk to her about the trouble sleeping that can be a side effect, but she describes that there's other drugs that you could have given her that would be perfectly safe and common and allow someone with no psychiatric history to sleep better, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so you prescribed her with the Zoloft. It was 25 milligrams, right?
Yes.
And when you prescribed her with the Zoloft, 25 milligrams, was that increased up to 0.05 milligrams, or did you increase it at some point?
The instructions were to increase it to 50 after 1 week.
After 1 week?
Yes.
And you expected that she would listen to your instructions, right?
Yes.
And she did, right?
She waited about a month, but then yes, she did.
Why did she wait a month?
I think it took her some time to decide whether that was truly what she wanted to do.
Right, she was afraid of the drugs, wasn't she?
She was afraid of side effects.
And she didn't want to take the pills, did she?
She eventually did want to take the pills because she wanted to feel better.
A month later, right?
Yes.
So you prescribe the Zoloft, SSRI, and then you tell her after a week to increase it, and she doesn't take that medication for a month, correct?
Correct.
And then she did take the medication, right?
Yes.
And did you meet with her or talk to her before she actually started to implement that particular regimen?
I had met with her beforehand, but I was not aware of when she made the decision to go ahead and take it.
So you met her on the 15th of September, right?
Yes.
Wow.
At the end of the day, Lindsay Clancy is the one that strangled her 3 children.
Yes.
That's all we know. That's all we know right now. We do know that there are some medical providers that I will say didn't do their due diligence.
Oh, 100%.
I will say that postpartum depression is real. Okay.
Oh.
It is. Psychosis is real, men and women. And I don't know what this jury is going to do, because I couldn't imagine looking at a woman sitting in a wheelchair thinking that she drummed all this up just because she wanted a divorce.
No.
That would be impossible for me to believe.
It's not a jury I would like to be on.
Not at all. So, closing thoughts. We have 63 people left in here because everyone else is watching the trial. If you had to vote today, would you say that she is guilty of murder or not guilty by reason of insanity and she's got to be institutionalized? Either way, she's institutionalized. It's just which part of the government is going to house her for the rest of her life.
Exactly. Like I said, I'm still hung up on the bit of when the psychosis occurred, because she was in contact with her husband, and the fact that when she jumped from the window, she held onto the ledge. It's not like she was in a psychosis and leapt out of the window, you know? So that's kind of stuck in the back of my mind. Was it insanity or was it due to misuse of drugs and alcohol?
Could be all the above. I'm going to piggyback off you. If it's total psychosis, she'd be dead.
Yeah. I think she would have completely harmed herself.
I think the only thing that saved her is that she did land on her feet, which is what crushed like her thoracic spine, her C-spine, and broke her spinal cord. And she did bleed out. I mean, and that's the reason her core temperature was 82 degrees. I don't think she had the nerve to check out early.
No. Yes, I mean, look, it's beyond reasonable that she killed the kids. You know, some people will say an eye for an eye. If it is due to insanity, she should be institutionalized for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm. Or until she is awake enough to know what's going on, and then send her to jail.
Yeah.
We've got to meet somewhere in the middle on this.
Yeah, I don't think it can be as straightforward as send her straight to a jail. I don't think there would be a jail equipped to deal with her. She wouldn't get the...
They have a medical unit. No, they have a medical unit.
Mm-hmm. But I think a psychiatric facility for however many years, and from there then to jail, would be my thought. It's just my opinion, but I think she needs to be punished for the loss of those 3 children. And if that's the only way it can be done, so be it. But most certainly do not agree with where she's institutionalized for 6 months and can then just, you know, get out and go home. No. 3 babies lost their lives. Unfortunately, in this case, it's not black and white. There's gray area. So if you're dealing with mental health issues, let her go, be institutionalized, have that sorted, and then once that's completed, on to serve a prison sentence for however many years.
And at this point, it's up to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Well, you all know my opinions. If she's institutionalized, everyone that treated her needs to lose their license.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most certainly.
They can all just lose them, because every one of them did the wrong thing, especially Dr. Jennifer Tufts. If she goes to jail, Patrick is shit out of luck because he can't sue anyone. True story. He can't, because she's guilty of murder. No one can sue a practitioner if the person that's in jail is there because of first-degree murder times 3. So this trial will go on for 3 more weeks. And what I'm going to do is just start doing like little updates at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And so whoever early is more than welcome to join me. I want to say thank you so much to my BFF, Denny.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone in chat.
And everyone here for taking time for the trial to come over. And if you have some time, check out the playlist, because we've been doing this for a long time. You guys are the absolute best, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're out, Denny.
Bye, everyone.